It's my privilege to introduce enlistment Lyra Ross.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peters. What I'm going to do this morning, the format is called edutainment, and the name was coined by my husband, and it's a combination of education and entertainment. I'm going to talk a little bit, and I will sing some songs, and hopefully you will both be entertained, and you may learn something of what I'm going to do. So, welcome. To be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does anyone here, not faculty, know where those words came from? They came, yes? Absolutely. That's absolutely correct. That was the Declaration of Independence. However, those words were not meant for the slaves. Those words declaring freedom were for white male landowners. During slavery, it was illegal to teach the slaves how to read. It was illegal for them to know how to read. And therefore the slaves found a way of communicating, and their communication frequently was through music. The one song that I'm going to do to show that type of communication this morning is called Steal Away to Jesus. Steal Away to Jesus is an example of double entendre. Another question, does anybody know what double entendre is? Double entendre is hearing the exact same words, but getting completely different meaning from them. When the slaves would sing the song, Steal Away to Jesus, I ain't got long to stay here, the slave masters would hear them singing and think, oh, well, that's lovely. The slaves are singing about, at some point, dying and going to be with Jesus. But that's not what this song is about. Steal away to Jesus, I ain't got long to stay here, meant we're going to leave this place. And the second verse of My God Calls Me by the Thunder was setting the specific time of the slave escape at the next thunderstorm, because it was more difficult to track the slaves during a storm. So the piece that I'm going to do now is called Steal Away to Jesus. amazingly to me, some very positive songs that came out of slavery. The next one that I'm going to do is called Ride On King Jesus. And it's very upbeat and very peppy, but it also has a bit of rebellion in it, because it says over and over again, no man can hinder me. So even in the midst of all of the trials and tribulations of slavery, the slaves were able to say, no man can hinder me. This is Ride On King Jesus. The next piece that I'm going to do is an aria from an Italian opera. Aria means song in Italian. And the opera that I'm going to sing from is called Aida. Aida is written by a very famous Italian composer whose name is Giuseppe Verdi. If he was American, his name would be Joe Green. Aida is the princess of Ethiopia. Her father is the king. And Ethiopia and Egypt are at war, and she has been kidnapped and has now been made to be the slave of the princess of Egypt. She has not revealed her identity, that she is the daughter of the king. They just think she's somebody who speaks pretty well, so she'd be a good slave for the princess. In the plot of Aida, both Aida and her mistress, Amneris, fall in love with the same man. And if you want to find out what happens with all of that, you will have to go to the opera. Or you can rent a DVD or watch it on Netflix or something. So I'm not going to go into the whole plot. But this particular piece that I'm going to do comes from Act 3 of Aida. And it takes place as Aida is waiting to meet her lover. And it's called O Patria Mia, which means, Oh my country, or Oh my homeland. And in this piece where Aida is waiting to meet her boyfriend, she thinks back about her beautiful homeland and how much she misses it. And I really believe that most, if not all of the slaves that came here had these same feelings of missing their own homeland. O patria mia, you'll hear that over and over again as she talks about my homeland. And then she'll say, non ti vedrò mai più, which means, I don't think I'll ever see you again. And I'm sure, as I said, that many, if not most, of the slaves here had those same feelings, wondering if they would ever see their homeland again. The only group that I know of was the group of slaves that were on the Amistad ship, which had their trial here in Connecticut. They were the only group of slaves that revolted, and it was proven that they were taken forcibly from their home, and they were returned to Africa. But that was the only group that was returned. Everyone else stayed here. This is O Patria Mia. after slavery was over, that the practice of lynching began. Lynching was instituted to keep the blacks in line. During slavery, really whatever you did to your property was okay. So this was particularly developed to make the blacks remember who they were. It's interesting to note that the Ku Klux Klan was started in Martinsville, Indiana, so not a southern state. And the piece that I'm going to do now was made very popular by the jazz singer Billie Holiday, and it's an indictment of lynching. About a year ago, I Googled lynching just to see what was, there could possibly be anything going on now. But in December of 2010, I'll repeat that, December 2010, in Florida, there were 4 high school age boys that were convicted of lynching. Lynching is usually it's defined by a mass attack on one person, and that person is usually beaten and killed and it's considered a racial hatred attack. So this was in December of 2010, that there were 4 white high school boys that attacked one of their classmates, a black young man, because he had dated a white girl, and he was killed, and the 4 went to jail in January of 2011. So lynching, unfortunately, is still happening. This piece was made very popular by the jazz singer Billie Holiday, and it's called Strange Fruit.
Blood on the leaves and blood
show to play that was written by an African-American composer, opened in 1918. The show was called Shuffle Along, and it was written by U.B. Blake, who went on to have great fame writing jazz music and ragtime. I had the privilege of meeting U.B. Blake when I had, as I call sometimes my wild and crazy job, when I was a soloist with the United States Army Band and Chorus. And while I was singing with the Army Chorus, we had a concert that featured U.B. Blake and all of his music. And it was because U.B. Blake was given the Medal of Freedom from the Department of the Army. And he got that not because of his wonderful ragtime music, which he did write, but he got the medal specifically from the Department of the Army because during World War I and World War II and Korea, when the Army was segregated, that meant that the black soldiers were ineligible to attend the USO programs that were put on for the military. So U.B. Blake spent his own money and took bands around Europe and around the Far East to entertain the black troops. And that was the reason that he was given the Medal of Freedom from the Department of the Army. So the piece I'm going to do now is called I'm Just Wild About Harry. And it was also the first song written by an African-American composer that was used as a presidential campaign song. It was used by Harry Truman. And I'm going to do this two ways. The original way that the song was written in the show was a waltz. And it was a major flop as a waltz. And the lady who sang the song kept asking Mr. Blake to please change it, and he wouldn't change it before the show, and it was a flop. So then he changed it, and it became very popular as a fast two-step. So what Jerry and I are going to do this morning is we're going to do it both ways, and you can decide which version you prefer. This is I'm Just Wild About Harry.
Harry's wild about me, the
World War I was called for a long time the war to end all wars. After World War I was over, there was such a positiveness in the United States. And the positiveness was in every community. That was when the term the Roaring Twenties came up. Everybody was happy, things were going well, there was lots of money, lots of jobs. It was a very good time. During that time, there was a community of African American artists that moved to New York City in Harlem and became very prolific. There were painters and artists and playwrights, and the time was known as the Harlem Renaissance. And also during that time, the first time that Black History Week was initiated was in February of 1926. And at that time it was called Negro History Week. And it was instituted by the historian Carter G. Woodson. And he established this as a time to take a moment and look at the achievements of African Americans in the United States. And it has since grown. It was in 1970 that Negro History Week then became Black History Month. So February is now officially designated as Black History Month, and every year the President of the United States renews that lease that it shall be designated as Black History Month. The piece that I'm going to do now is from a poem by one of the prolific playwrights that was writing during the Harlem Renaissance. The man is Langston Hughes. And the name of the poem is I Too Sing America. It was set to music by an African American female. And we're going to do this piece first in two ways. First, what I'm going to do is to say the poem so that you can hear the words. And then I will sing the song by Margaret Bonds. And it is I Too Sing America.
I too sing America. I am the darker sister. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh. And I eat well, and I grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed.
America.
1963 was a really horrific year in the history of the United States. At the beginning of 1963, Martin Luther King was arrested in Birmingham, Alabama, for marching. He was arrested on Good Friday and had to stay in jail over the Easter weekend. And many of his fellow clergymen really, wrote notes and messages and gave interviews saying, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be in church on Easter Sunday. How can you be down there, marching and doing all that stuff with those people in Birmingham?" And his response was a book that he wrote called Letter from a Birmingham Jail, in which he talks about the terrible stuff going on in Birmingham. There was a police commissioner named Bull Connor who didn't like black people coming down and marching in his town, so that when they would march, especially children, he would turn attack dogs loose on them, or he would turn on the fire hoses that would put them up against the wall, and that's also that people would be beaten up. And so Martin Luther King felt that he needed to be in Birmingham. A few months after that, in August of 1963, was when there was the March on Washington, and Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. 6 weeks after that, 4 little girls were killed back in Birmingham, Alabama, as they were preparing for church choir rehearsal. It was on a Sunday morning, and someone threw a bomb in the church, and 4 girls were killed. It's important to notice that it was not until April of 2001 that the person who threw the bombs was actually convicted of that murder. I'll repeat that, April 2001. And the crime happened in September of 1963. Then, 6 weeks after the Birmingham church bombing, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated. So it was a wild and crazy time for our country. The song that I'm going to do is called Ballad of Birmingham. And in this song, a little girl wants to go out and march in the civil rights marches. And her mother tells her, "No, you can't do it, it's not safe." And they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the mother finally says, "No, you cannot go and march. It is not safe. Go do something safe. Go sing in the church choir."
Mother dear, will we go downtown instead of out to play? To march the streets of Birmingham on a freedom march today. No, baby, no, you may not go, for the dogs are fierce and wild, and guns and hoses, dogs in chains, aren't good for a little child. But mother, I won't be
In these current times, when one speaks about diversity, it is usually how many males or how many females or how many people of different ethnicities, how many Latinos or how many Orientals are in the bunch. And there is very little attention paid to diversity within the African American community. The next piece that I'm going to do was written by the jazz singer Nina Simone, and it celebrates the diversity within the African American community. It's called For Women. And when this song first came out in 1967, it was banned. Many radio stations wouldn't play it because they said it was just too inflammatory and they weren't going to play that kind of stuff. So I present to you For Women, which talks about four ladies of very, very different stations in life, and maybe you know some of these ladies, or maybe you are one of these ladies. This is For Women.
One who has money to buy. What do they call me? My name is Sweet Flame. My name is Sweet My skin is brown. My manner is tough. I'll kill the first mother I see. My life has been rough. I'm awfully bitter these days because my parents were slaves. What do they call me? Before we do our last selection, I have thank yous. The first thank you is for Dr. Kirk Peters. Thank you so much for inviting me back. And I have a big thank you for Dr. Gerald Moshell. I could not do what I do without his wonderful assistance. Thank you, Gerald. I want to thank all of you who have come, students and faculty and friends, and old friends and new friends, and I'm going to do a commercial here. The commercial is for a show at Theater Works called The Sty of the Blind Pig. I went to see it about a week ago, and my goodness, all the members of the cast have come, so thank you guys for coming. And you really should go and see it. It played, how long does it play?
February 26th.
Okay, through February 26th. So The Sty of the Blind Pig at Theater Works in downtown Hartford is a great show. You should go and see it. So the last piece that I'm going to do is also by Margaret Bonds, and it's called He's Got the Whole World in His Hand. And this piece, I think, is really important because all of us, of whatever ethnicity and diversities and sexual orientations, we all have to live together on this earth. This is He's Got the Whole World in His Hand.